Hola amigos y bienvenidos a mi canal. My name is Austin and today I want to talk about a rather important subject in Spanish. Subjects. What are subjects? Well, subjects are simply the thing that does something in a sentence. They can be a person, an object, an animal, a force of nature, or really anything. Now, this is my first Spanish lesson for YouTube. So, why did I pick this topic? Because in order to understand how to conjugate verbs in Spanish, first we need to know who's performing the action, as that's going to inform our conjugation. In Spanish, we use 13 different subjects to describe individuals and groups of people. These subjects are yo, tú, vos, usted, él, ella, nosotros, nosotras, vosotros, vosotras, ustedes, ellos, and ellas. Something important that we must remember is that in Spanish, it is very common to eliminate the subject from a sentence because the conjugation of the verb already tells us who the subject is. For this reason, most of the time in Spanish, we only include the subject if it's not already clear or to add emphasis to the message. I'll talk more about conjugations in my future videos. Now let's start with the first person. When we want to talk about what we ourselves do, we say yo, or in English, I, if only the person that talks is doing something. However, if that person is part of a group that does the action, we use nosotros or nosotras. In English, it's we. When that group is made up of only women, we say nosotras, the feminine form. But if the group has at least one man, the subject becomes nosotros, the masculine and mixed form. Remember that this rule is also used for the other group subjects we're talking about today. Let's continue with the second person. When we talk about what's done by a person or group with whom we're speaking, it's a little bit more complicated. The subject form that we use is going to depend on context. When we talk with just one person, you in English, in informal context, we use tú or vos in certain places. On the other hand, when we talk with a person in formal context, we have to use usted. So what designates formal versus informal context anyway? Generally speaking, usted is the better default to use until you feel it's appropriate to use tú, because it conveys more respect to the listener. You generally want to use usted when you're speaking with someone you don't know all that well, or to someone who is noticeably older than you. We also want to use usted when we're talking to people in a business environment, or talking to someone of a higher social status than ourselves. As far as informal context, tú is used when we're talking with friends and family, people we know well, or when talking with people about the same age as ourselves. It's also possible to specifically ask somebody's permission to address them as tú. For example, you can ask someone, ¿Nos podemos tutear? Which literally asks, can we address each other informally? In regards to groups, it's even more complicated. We say ustedes or vosotros, vosotras, you all in English. I want you to know that vosotros and vosotras are only used in Spain as the plural form of tú. In other words, while in Latin America we always say ustedes to talk to any group, in Spain we use ustedes only to talk to groups in formal context. But in informal context, we use vosotros or vosotras. Therefore, unless you go to Spain, you're not going to use vosotros or vosotras in normal conversations. Finally, let's conclude with the third person. When we want to talk about what's done by a person or group with whom we are not speaking, that is to say, when we talk about somebody and not with that person, we use él, he, and ella, she, with just one person, and with a group we say ellos or ellas, they. We can also use él, ella, ellos, and ellas to describe anything exactly how we say it or they in English. Well, we've arrived to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching till the very end. I hope that you've enjoyed and that you've learned something useful today. If you like this content, please make sure to leave me a like, and if you want to keep learning Spanish with me, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my new videos. Leave me a comment if you have any question or recommendation for another video. Que tengas un lindo día. Hasta la próxima.